Hi, I'm Ria, and today we're going to talk about the perils of growing up ugly, the effects it has on you, and how to overcome it. Growing up, I was unattractive. I needed braces, I felt very awkward in my body, but most of all, I had, and still have, a very ethnic and unique nose. A nose that I had inherited from one of the men I love most in this world, my dad. But I didn't appreciate it at the time because others took that away from me. And that's the thing, I didn't just start thinking that I was unattractive one day. Rather, when I entered secondary or middle school, when I was around 11 years old, people bullied me. Like, a lot. There was one guy in particular, let's call him Shithead. Shithead really picked on me. He picked on me so much that I'd cry myself to sleep because I was so nervous about going to school the next day. Sometimes I'd fake an illness just to avoid being bullied about my nose. And for me, the most upsetting part of this was that I actually loved school, like a lot. I loved learning and still do, so much so that I'm even starting a PhD this year. I remember another time when I wasn't even in school. One of my friends told me that one of my bullies had asked where I was. Let's name this bully Pisshead. My friend told Pisshead I was at home, and he made a joke that my nose was so big that it probably stuck out the window. Yeah. These experiences stuck with me a lot, and now I'm an adult, I see these experiences a little bit differently. So I'm going to tell you all about the tenets of being unattractive, from my journey growing up feeling unattractive, what I learned from it, and how growing this way actually made me the person I am now. And I just want to pause here and say, if you're going through something similar, know that you have and always will have a big sister in me, and I think that you're perfect. If you ever want to talk, just leave a comment and I promise to reply. The first and hardest tenet of growing up unattractive is accepting and loving your own unique features. So let's begin by talking about my ethnic nose. If you have unique features, then you know that it can be hard to truly accept your uniqueness as something beautiful. As much as we say as a society that we should celebrate difference, we all know that growing up with unique features can feel like a curse. My ethnic nose was the element about me that I was most bullied for. So much so that when I was around 16, I begged my mum to let me get a nose job. We went to the doctor and they asked me if there was a medical reason behind my decision. I explained that there wasn't, and they explained that they really didn't think I should make any decisions so young. So they told me to come back in a few years. And the good news is I never did. But during this time, I would hide my face in pictures, and I would be especially insecure if someone took a picture of me from a side angle. All I would see in these pictures was my nose, to the point where I would just cower my entire face in my hands instead of getting a picture taken. And as an adult, I look back on this and think, what a pity. What a pity it is that I lost years of pictures of me because people bullied me. But do you know what I also think? Thank God that I never picked on someone so much that they ended up feeling how I felt when I was younger. The real victim of this story, I think, are the bullies, because their impact on the world is so awful, and I can't imagine anything worse than that. But the doctor telling me to wait until I was older wasn't the only reason I didn't get a nose job. At the same time, one of my cousins, who has the exact same nose as me, also got a nose job, and I had always thought she was so beautiful, but she couldn't see it. Why? Well, because of her nose. And that made me start to think, what if I do the same thing? It also made me think, this nose connects me to her, it connects me to my dad, it will always connect all of us. We all have the same nose. So I don't blame my cousin at all, she's still attractive now, but at the same time, young me really needed her to not get a nose job. And she did. That made me think to myself, one day there might be someone who looks at me and thinks the same thing, and I can live with that. I didn't want Shithead or Pisshead to get that gratification. So if you have unique or ethnic features that you might not like, I encourage you to reframe how you see them. Your unique features are inherited from generations of people before you. Your unique features are the culmination of love. My nose exists on me because my mom loved how I looked on my dad, and my grandma loved how I looked on my granddad. And one day there'll be a version or extensions of me out there who have this nose because my husband decided to love it on me. And the reality is that failure to see the beauty in something unique is not our failing, it's the moral failing of people around us. Do you know how much better the world gets when you see the beauty in that which is unconventional? the world becomes a different, better place. Trust me. The other tenet of feeling unattractive is the pressure to form an epic personality. Something else that is really specific to the growing ugly experience is the forming an awesome personality to compensate pipeline. Like, I like my personality. I think I ended up becoming a pretty cool adult. I have cool hobbies like animation, and I like cool shows like Adventure Time. But the truth is, I turned to some of these things as a coping mechanism for the bullying. For example, my interest in drawing was escapism for me, and I was able to offset so many of my worries through art. But the biggest place of coping for me was scholarly. I used to draw from my academic achievements to cope with being picked on, because getting A's and good grades gave me gratification in my academic life that I was not getting from my social or personal life. And this feels like a good point to mention. My sister is also super freaking pretty. Like, she was a model for years. So I felt like the ugly duckling in more ways than one. Even though my parents treated us both the same, I'd look at my sister and wonder when I was going to start looking like her. In being the smart one at my school and at home, I had something to latch onto, something that made me feel better about myself. And I ran with this because I do love school and I do love learning. So much so that one day I got into Cambridge University. I actually have a first class degree from Cambridge, which is one of my proudest achievements. My smarts took me far because I'm now living in America doing a fully funded master's program, and I'll be doing a PhD soon. But this takes me into one of the most complicated tenets of growing up unattractive, and that is what I call the reckoning. I feel like, in a weird way, my bullies actually lost. Like, they really lost. Because while they were wasting so much time projecting their problems onto me and picking on me, I was focusing on finding other ways to enjoy my life. And in turn, my world became so much bigger than that of the people who hurt me when I was younger. And you obviously don't have to go to an elite school or do something like that for things to work out for you. So I don't want to imply here that Cambridge fixed everything for me, but it was that I grew while they didn't. And that is something I refer to as the reckoning. Because, and this is the most important part of my video, I feel like bullies always lose in some way. And what sucks is you won't always see that they've lost either, but they will, and they do, because they never have anything good to show for their bullying and all of those years of being awful people. The reality is there's no fulfillment in being a bully, the same way there's fulfillment in overcoming one. One tenet of growing up attractive for some people is growing up to be attractive later on in life. And one of the weirdest outcomes for me is that as I got older, I do think I became more attractive. But unlike other videos and comments on this topic, I don't think it's as simple as I just got more attractive or I just grew into my features and now my life is great. Because while those things might and do have some truth, the biggest thing for me is that I just accepted how I looked and drew confidence from a different place. A lot of people are confident because they're attractive, and that's really awesome. That must be nice. But for me, my confidence draws from an inner self-worth, and I think that is much more complex and long-lasting and powerful than if I drew it from the outside. Of course, there's no hate or bad feelings towards people that are able to do that. Just that's not me. And if I'm being candid, I still think I'm not really as attractive as other people are, and that compared to everyone else in the world, I'm still not conventionally attractive. But the difference is I love myself anyway. I love my nose because it unites me with my dad, who I now live pretty far away from. I moved to America and he's still back in England. So every time I look in the mirror, a piece of him looks back toward me. And I feel good about how I look now. I smile in pictures and I look back on that time in my life. As much as I hate it, and as much as I hate thinking about how I was treated, and as much as I wish I wasn't bullied, because I feel like I could have learned some of these lessons without that, I also get the gratification in knowing that the version I am now is the version that my childhood self wanted and needed me to be, if not more. The last tenet of growing up unattractive is the most honest one, I feel. It's the fact that no matter how hard you try or how much therapy you get, the bullying does have a lasting impact. As I mentioned, When you grow up feeling imperfect, it's hard to ever truly feel attractive. When I started my first year at Cambridge, I was living in a household with a ton of people I didn't really resonate with, except for one person, Kay, who watches my videos. Hi Kay, I love you. Thank you for making my time at Cambridge so special, and thank you for watching all my videos. Nonetheless, I was the only person at the time that happened to be in a relationship. My boyfriend at the time, who is now my husband, was a hot topic. One time, one of the girls in my household came up to me and said, "So you're in a relationship?" And I was like, yeah. And she was like, "Wait, so you're the only one of us here that isn't single?" She kind of looked around and was like, "What?" And I kind of felt like that was her saying, "Wait, the ugly one of us is the one that's not single." And honestly, maybe she did not mean it that way, but that's sort of my point. When you grow up ugly or feeling unattractive, people telling you that you're attractive or making comments about you always feel kind of backhanded. I still have days where I feel like the girl that I was 10 years ago. But here's the thing, and this is what I truly believe. No one is really ugly on the outside. Everyone has something about them that is worth and deserving of love, and that's factually true. If there weren't things about you that were worthy of love, then you wouldn't exist. We're all products of generations of people that have loved each other. We're all products of generations of people that love the way the other person looked. That nose you don't like, well, someone did. Someone liked it so much that they married it. And if it's good enough for your ancestors, it's good enough for you too. And the real ugliness, and I know this is a corny comment, but stick with me, is literally from within. I made a video recently about living life with whimsy, and in that video I mentioned the importance of being the sort of person that radiates love and happiness, and just in general to avoid conducting yourself with misery. And now think about being and doing the opposite, right? Like, think about being the sort of person who wastes time that they should spend growing bullying. Think about people who have left a dirty, awful stain in this world by hurting other people. And you should ask yourself this: would you rather someone say, "Hey, there's that guy who's good looking," or "Hey, that's the guy who saved my life," or "Hey, there's that guy who made me smile when I was down"? Like, I know what I would pick, and I know what I've remembered people for, and it definitely hasn't been their looks. If you liked this video, please consider leaving a like, comment, and subscribe. Your subscription means the world to me, and I have lots of really cool videos in store. In particular, if you've had similar experiences growing up to me, then know that this is a very safe space for us to talk about it. As in, if I see a single mean comment, I will just delete it. Postscript. I just wanted to add a postscript where I start off by saying thank you so much for the love on my latest video. I'm so freaking grateful. I can't tell you how grateful I am even. And I gained like 200 subs from that video, which is crazy. And I literally cried. One person commented and asked if I had a Discord community, and that comment genuinely made me tear up, because I was actually debating not even posting the video that I did. And if I didn't, then that person wouldn't have wanted to join a community with me. So I'm not really good with things like Discord, but my husband is. So I'm going to start a Discord in a few days where we can share ideas, hopefully where I can share my artwork, and you can use my art as like a wallpaper or something like that if you want to. But also I'll use the Discord to share the brushes I use on Procreate. And I hope to also share time lapses of how I make my art so that you can maybe recreate it yourself if you want to, and vice versa. So again, thank you all so much for the love. Seriously.